Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Thank you for coming to this presentation. So I'm glad to see you here, and let me introduce myself. I am Taufik Rahman and my partner is Nadila Hafani Putri and Najila Salsabila Diva. And in this opportunity, we will discuss about being empathic. So first of all, will be explained by Najla.
Okay, first, introduction. Background. Although academic writing is often characterized by the need to be cautious, there are times when, for the sake of argument or clarity, you may want to be empathic, either in expressing your own point of view. Being empathic means stressing the importance of something, or expressing a strongly held or extreme view or opinion. The following technique for giving emphasis to your ideas are covered in this unit. First, using emphatic sentence structure. What government and the scientific community need to find in the area of embryonic stem cells research is a compromise that will allow medical advances and public opinion to coexist in relative harmony. Uh, The second, using emphatic inversion, only by increasing its budget will the serious front office be able to fight online deception effectively. Third, using emphatic adverbs. Fourth, using emphatic expression. Next, emphatic sentence structure. First, it plus be plus relative clause. By using this structure, you can place a greater emphasis on the first part of your sentence. The example it is the cabinet that should be the main forum for agreeing policy within the government. The sentence might be criticizing a prime minister who took decision without consulting his or her cabinet, and is more emphatic than saying the cabinet should be the main forum for agreeing policy within the government. In the following example, the writer wants to draw attention to Scarrett's opinion on constant praxis in language learning. According to Scarrett, it is through constant practice either than memorization that you ultimately master a second language. If you are emphasizing a personal subject, you can replace that with who. Example, it is only the monarch though can dissolve parliament under the British Constitution. The tips. Sometimes you can be empathic just by using short sentence. This is particularly effective in academic English where short simple sentences contrast with the normal style of long sentences with complex structure. Next. The second, what plus clause plus be. With this structure, you can place the emphasis on the second part of your sentence. The example, what we need is an advertisement that will capture the public's imagination. Compare with we need an advertisement that will capture the public's imagination. Next, that the additional information that would normally be placed at the beginning or end of a sentence is included at the beginning or end of a sentence is included between what and be, and that a plural noun would require the plural form of be. The example, what we need in order to succeed are advertisements that will capture the public's imagination. Compare with we need advertisements that will capture the public's imagination in order to succeed. In the example above, the focus is on a noun phrase. To emphasize a verb phrase, the verb do can be used, followed by an infinitive, normally without to. The example, what a candidate for a post at the UN must do is to gain full security clearance before they can process. Not. However, that you would not normally emphasize a reporting verb. The example, what Fonseca believes is that fictional heroines still tend to be stereotypes more often than their male counterparts. Tips. To emphasize noun, you can place a reflexive pronoun after it. Normally, the third person singular itself or plural themselves.
So the next is empathic inversions. If you want to emphasize the negative or limited nature of a situation, you can place certain negative or limiting words or phrases at the beginning of a sentence or a clause. When you do this, you must invert, reverse, or change normal word order by placing the auxiliary or modal verb be, have, will, etc. If there is one form of do in front of the subject. So the example is rarely has there been time or goose when so many demographic and medical changes occurring simultaneously. And the second is no sooner the company reported that did the company record earnings in 2009, then it sold it's in Northampton and changed direction complete. Limiting word and phrase like only, plus, in, rarely, seldom. By placing this word at the beginning of your sentence or clause, you can limit or restrict the activities or event, and therefore put emphasis on it. Only by holding a referendum will the government able to solve this issue. Note that only by is normally followed by will, other prepositional or adverbial phrase, like only after teaching for 20 years did turn to composing. Next, time phrase like hardly, blah blah blah, when, and no sooner, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, not since or until, at not time, never. By placing these words and phrase at the beginning of your sentence or clause, like hardly had the committee the coven chairperson declared that they denounce all further. And the second example, never had pharmaceutical companies seen such a period of growth as the 1918. And next, negative praise, like on no account, under no circumstance, neither or nor. By placing these words and phrase at the beginning of your sentence or clause, you can emphasize the negative nature of your meaning. Not that on no account and under no circumstance are often followed in should. The example is on no account or under no circumstance should infants younger than 6 months be vaccinated against yellow fever, according to practitioners. Next. Emphatic adverbs. Note that most of the adverbs in this section take a mid position, just after the auxiliary verbs be and have, and just before other verbs. But some, such as in fact, adaptly, and invariably, can also come first in a sentence, and a few, such as categorically and emphatically, may come after the main verb. Number one, especially, essentially, even, in particular, only, and particularly can all be used to focus attention on particular parts of a sentence, which are underlined in the example below. I mean, it's both. The example is it's difficult, especially during a recession, for small companies to pursue their banks to lend them money. And the other example is riverside property in particular needs to be protected against flooding. And the second is actually, indeed, in fact, and of course emphasize that something is true. None of the evidence actually confirms that humans suffer injury as a result of regular exposure to these low temperatures. And the other example is the majority of new employees within the civil service are drawn from the ranks of the temporary of or contract staff. In fact, that the available statistic demonstrate that the most common way to secure a job is to be gained as a casual employee. And the next will be explained by Nadila Paniputri.
And the number three is absolutely, categorically, completely, entirely, utterly, and wholly. All share the core meaning of completely. Absolutely is the most flexible, collocating with many adjectives and verbs. Utterly tends to be used when being critical of this approving of someone's or something. The example is first, angry travelers absolutely refuse to wait calmly as the number of cancelled flights increase. And the next is Gregson denied categorically that he had been involved in insider trading. And the last is Samson agreed that it was utterly irresponsible for a local council to subcontract service to provider with civil court action against them. And the tips is not the adverb quiet can have the same meaning as the adverb in three above when combined with an ungradable adjective such as absurd, concern, certain, or different, false, impossible, right, sure, true, useless, and wrong. And the number four is clearly, emphatically, indisputably, obviously, undeniably, undoubtedly, and unquestionably are used to emphasize that there can be little argument or doubt about the fact, and they should therefore be used with care. The example is there are clearly several options when a company is perceived to be filing. The next is she was indisputably the best candidate for the job, according to the chair of the interview panel. And the last is undoubtedly there are still questions to be asked about the setting of nuclear reactors. And the number five is invariably and unfailingly share the meaning always. The example is invariably consumers in focus groups will express idea that advertisers had not predicted. And emphatic expression. The first is it is or was clear or obvious, indisputable, inevitable, undeniable that or it is or was plus clear, obvious, or to someone or something plus that. The example is first, it was obvious to the panel that the project led sustainability, and it is undeniable that there is an immediate need for improvement in the city infrastructure. Tips is verb that present clear evidence such as demonstrate, prove, reveal, show, especially when used without causes or tentative language can sound emphatic by themselves. And the number two is it is or was plus necessary or imperative or crucial or vital that. Or it is or was plus necessary, imperative, crucial, vital to someone or something, plus infinitive with do. The example is first, as Hoskin pointed out, it is imperative for small business to have good credit with suppliers. And it was crucial that the fire was stopped before it reached the chemical factories on the outskirts of the city. And the tips is some facts have more emphatic alternative similar meaning, such as so to be mass, as insist demand, criticize to condemn, states to assents, and dislike to detest. And the number 3 is there is or was or can be plus no doubt that. The example is there is no doubt that grades have improved and interest in education has revived, and there is no doubt that good thing will come. And the tips is expression using sentence, certainly and definitely can also express the idea that there is no doubt.
So that will be the end of our presentation by Group H. Thank you for your great attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.